Hey, listen to Commander Cookout Podcast, episode 180. I'm Brando. I'm here with Ryan, and today we're going to continue the arc of the good vibes by talking about the fruits of communism. Now hit our theme song! Hey, Ryan. We're back for yet another whirlwind adventure. How you doing?
Good. What's going down?
A whole ton is going down. We got a new deck to do that's a labor of love from you and I and all the members of the nation out there. We got a few more members of the nation to say thanks to for coming on board, rather. But before we do any of that stuff, we have to thank FaceToFaceGames.com. They're Canada's biggest Magic store and our official sponsor.
Oh, very much so. I've got an order from them in the mail. Can't wait because it's over now, but they were putting extra little presents and surprises in for everybody as a sign of good times yet to come. But, all the crappy C-word situation, right?
Yeah.
They had all these extra things for prizes and events that they had to cancel throughout the country. So instead of just throwing them in the garbage, they were putting them into people's orders for free, which I think is pretty cool. So I definitely made an order.
I thought that they were still closed down. I didn't even know. Wowee.
That's fine. That's fine. Now you know.
I feel like I missed out.
Well, maybe I'll share with you. Maybe the free stuff is numerous enough from my order that I can share with you or use some of it as a giveaway for CCONation. Speaking of which, we do have 2 more giveaways, not because we're doing 2 decks, but one is a giveaway from our new merch for the show proper, and one is something that I hope still works.
Do tell.
Well, when I pre-ordered my box of Ikoria and Commander 20 products, everything all at once, I got an arena code. I don't know what that means. I'm not giving it to you. I'm going to post it on the Discord, and any members of CCONation that are on the Discord, if they want to swoop in there first like a vulture and try and use it on Arena real quick to see if it still works, they can use it. That's a freebie for the patrons. Our regular giveaway, I don't have them yet, so you're going to have to send them.
Okay.
CCOsters.
Hell yeah, CCOsters are my favorite thing. I've been using them all the time.
Oh, yeah, and I assume you're using them for your good vibe that we're probably both going to talk about. But the CCOsters are for anybody who guessed Kalamax the Stormsire from the hints from the episode 180 pre-show from yesterday. Anybody who got it, you're entered to win CCOsters. One lucky person on Twitter, Facebook, or YouTube is going to receive a set of 4 for you and your 3 friends when you can get back together and start jamming hundies.
Or just for you because you want to drink 4 beers at once.
Oh, I like that idea so much better. Hey, speaking of which. Yeah.
Jesus.
There it is. Hey, listen, I'm feeling good. I am on day 2 of no pain meds. And just through my medical doctor, my chiropractor, my symptoms are progressing in such a way that we are a little bit more accurately able to determine the exact mechanism of my injury to my back and my hip. We didn't talk about this on the pre-show. I wanted to, but we didn't. And it's actually a good thing that I had a little bit of a herniated disc instead of just a bulged one. Because when you actually damage something enough, your body will respond to it by taking healing measures inside of you. And based on how my symptoms are progressing and how feeling is coming back into my leg, that's a good thing that I have a little bit of a herniation, which is, it sounds like bad news, but it's really good news. When my chiropractor stuck an acupuncture needle onto my shin bone, I could actually feel it this time.
That's good.
Last time, he could have stuck a framing spike in there and I wouldn't have felt it.
Huh. Why didn't you tell me that? I would have come over and we could have done that thing from Mr. Deeds, where he's beating his foot with a fireplace poker because he can't feel it.
Oh yeah, we missed opportunity.
That would have been a sweet video. It could have just been me whacking you with a fireplace poker and you being like, yeah, I can't even feel that.
Have you seen any harmonica challenges on any social medias? Guys put a harmonica in their mouth and then they whack each other in the shin with a broom handle and they try to not make the harmonica make any noise.
Is that real?
Anybody in CCONation, just look up harmonica challenge on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter. It'll come up. And it's pretty funny.
What the hell have we become?
This is quarantine, baby.
Oh, man.
This is our lives now.
Holy shit.
I don't know.
I'm actually taken aback by that. I am taken aback by something. Fuck.
That's the first time ever. 180 episodes.
I think it is. Wow.
Wow. Well, listen, we've got to press on. You can be in shock and awe all you want. We've got to press on. We've got some patrons to thank. We've got a deck to do. Where do you want to start?
Let's start with the patrons, as we are wont to do.
Yeah, the same place we always fucking start.
Yeah, man. Same thing we do every night, Pinky.
Yeah, that's it. First patron, shout out, funny nickname, thank you, and FU goes to Maverick Phipps.
Maverick Phipps, eh?
I thought like Phipps him the bird, like flipping the middle finger, the CCO salute, but you wanted a Top Gun reference.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a Top Gun reference in there. We could call him the Goose, but then we'd all have to just dunk on him all the time because Geese sucks.
Yes.
Or we could call him the Iceman, which would kind of make him a douchebag.
What about Iceman Finger Blaster? Because he's flipping him the bird.
There we go. Iceman Finger Blast. I like that.
Do not Google that.
Not a single word we said.
No.
I wonder if it's that guy, for like that Russian dude that has like the Mr. Cool Ice tattooed all over his body. Have you ever seen that guy?
Nope.
You should, because it's pretty funny. If you have ever regretted a decision in your life, look up a picture of that guy, and it'll make you feel way better.
Well, maybe tweet at CCO Brando when you find that picture. Okay, next shout out and patron nickname, and this one just came out of like, this was immaculate conception in my brain. This is how it happened. I seen on my phone, I'm painting a card one day, I get a notification, Travis Conkey became a new patron, and I thought, oh yeah, Conky Tonk T, that's who he is.
Sure.
He is the Conky Tonk, the honky tonk man, except he's the Conky Tonk man. So Travis,
Yeehaw.
Yeah, that's it. Travis, thank you very much. And of course, FU.
FU.
Mm-hmm. Last shout out. And this one comes by way of a world record.
What?
Jeff Holmes, I think, broke the world record for most middle fingers ever received when he entered the CCO Discord.
Oh, Lord. I was there for that, too.
There was hundreds of them.
It was incredible. It was like watching monarch butterflies migrate. It was insane.
Yeah, it was like that meme of Rambo shooting the Gatling gun, but instead of like bullets, it's middle fingers.
It was so good. No hello, no welcome, just middle fingers.
Yeah, that's it. So Jeff, big thank you. Many big FUs. You need a nickname. I was thinking King of Fingers. King of being fingered.
The Fingering King.
Finger King. There it is.
Yeah, there it is.
So
got there.
Huge thank you to all of the patrons, of course. Funny nicknames. Not sure why anybody wants to be fingered or receive funny nicknames, but hey, to each their own.
I wonder if we're ever going to get a patron that's like, please don't give me a nickname. And then they would just get like the most nicknames.
Any patron who wants to be a patron that doesn't want a nickname is just not going to be a patron.
That's true.
We're literally just shooting ourselves in the foot. Listen, a week ago or 2 weeks ago, I could have shot myself in the foot. Everybody would have gotten a fucking nickname. But now that I've got feeling again, there's no foot shooting. Sorry.
Oh, that's too bad. I feel like we missed an opportunity there, man. Like we could have done some work.
It's fine. It's fine. I'm sure I'll lift something heavy again and get hurt sometime in the future. I am just only getting older.
Excellent.
So we mentioned we're doing Kalamax today. This is Kalamax the Stormsire. Give him a read, and then we're going to talk about him for a couple minutes and why we're doing the build.
All right, he is a 4/4 elemental dinosaur for red, blue, green 1. Whenever you cast your first instant spell each turn, if he is tapped, you copy the spell, choose new targets for the copy, and whenever you copy an instant spell, put a +1/+1 counter on him.
Yeah. Neat. So lots of copying, lots of potential to go infinite I've found in building this. This deck is the Community Cookout communist Kalamax build that I mentioned a couple weeks ago, where I'm having the members of CCO Discord help me build the deck. So big shout out to all you guys. You guys know who you are. There was about 20 different people or 25 different people throughout the last 2 weeks that have suggested cuts and adds and given me their opinion. So thank you to all you guys. And now that the list is, I'm going to call it air quotes finalized, I'm going to put it together and I'm going to start releasing little subtle ways that people can get involved in altering the cards and having them sent to me so I can jam them with the Dude Bros and eventually at upcoming Magic Fests.
Yes.
So watch the CCO channel, like the feeds for that, at CCO Podcast, at CCO Brando, because you're going to get involved. I've already commissioned you without you knowing.
You're already on the job.
Yeah, there's going to be posts on Facebook and YouTube, and of course, Commander Ad Populum. There's going to be ways for people to be involved there, and I would even like for you to maybe do something on your solo YouTube channel if you want.
Brando does stuff on YouTube. I'm sure I can come up with something.
One of those things could be helping teach CCO Nationalites the finer art of Brando altars. There is some subtle nuance to doing a very good Brando altar.
There can be a trick to it. It's not as easy as it looks.
Especially when you want to like start telling a story with your altars, and over the course of, building your Brando altar collection, you can start to storyboard a little bit, and I bet you you can even come up with ways that you can interchange cards to different places in the story to make it tell a different story.
I'm very creative, and yes, I can totally do that.
Yeah. Almost like those Cyanide and Happiness, like 3-panel comic things, there's games that you can rearrange them to make the funniest thing.
Yeah, those are fun. That's a cool game, actually. I think I have that.
Yeah, so maybe we can start doing that through social media to help get like the basic lands started in this deck.
Yeah.
So just watch the social feeds for that, because it's going to be a ton of fun.
It is. These altars are always good, and doing something with a bunch of other people is also always fun. So we'll make a day of it.
Yeah,
is what we'll do.
Yeah. And total CCO pre-show moment on the actual show. You got the email I sent you with more CCO Brando altars that we need?
I did. I'm working on them as soon as I get home. I have the little pile, and I have my markers out. I'm ready to go, man.
Very excellent. Very excellent. So, do we want to start with the deck? Do we want to do some Creech? We haven't done Creech on it like a traditional deck tech in a good long while.
You're right. And I didn't even move all these sons of bitches around. Oh my God! There, I moved one.
Okay,
that's fine. There, it's not alphabetical anymore. I can relax. Okay, let's start with the Creech. You said there was ways to go infinite. I've been looking for ways that you have gone infinite with this Dualcaster Mage.
Well, Dualcaster Mage is one of the ways. So, Human Wizard 2/2 for red 1 with Flash. When it enters the battlefield, copy target instant or sorcery and choose new targets for the copy. So essentially, if we cast one of our spells that says copy target spell, we can flash in a Dualcaster Mage and copy our copy spell to then retarget the original copy spell infinite times. Because the copy spell will copy the original, which will copy the original, which will copy the original, which will copy, right? And every time you do that, you're copying a spell. So Kalamax is, whenever you copy a spell, will trigger giving it a +1/+1.
Dang.
So I've tried to cut, or I wanted to cut as many as I thought was appropriate, as many infinite combos out of here as possible. So it's not just another combo really fast degenerate deck, because I want it to be fun.
That's good. That's something. And I mean, there's not really a way you can avoid that, because by its nature, playing the copy with the copy, right? Like,
yeah, unless I took all the copies out and just relied on Kalamax to copy stuff, right? But then it's not really the copy deck, and it doesn't do the really high-end power thing that we're going to talk about in the strength section, because it's got a lot of top-end jam. Yeah. But we can clump the next two, Electrostatic Field and Gutter Snipe.
Yeah, they are XXs, for lack of a better word. 1 for 3, 1 for 2. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, in this case probably an instant, it deals 1 damage to each opponent. Gutter Snipe deals 2.
Yes, and it deals to each opponent. And just a news flash, we've got 32 instants, and 1 sorcery. So we could kill people with Gutter Snipe if we were to like draw a whole bunch of cards or whatever. That doesn't trigger off of copying. I should just mention that.
Because you're not casting the copy, you're casting the spell that copied and it created a copy. It makes sense.
Yeah, that's right. Next up, Goblin Electromancer. I'm letting you read the goblins, FYI.
Ooh, Goblin Electromancer is a 2/2 for red 1. Instant sorcery spells you cast cost 1 less.
It's blue.
That's what I said, isn't it?
Not really.
Shit. That's what I meant to say.
All right. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it just makes my stuff cheaper. It's kind of like a mana dork on 2 mana that like gets you continuous mana, right? Like I'm not playing any sorcery speed ramp and I'm not playing a whole ton of rocks. So I'm giving up that little bit of safety with the mana rocks to play a creature that is going to help me in the long term a little bit more.
And these things, when you're doing you want to play lots of things in a single turn as opposed to one big thing, I think that rocks like these are in a way better because they make all of your spells cheaper as opposed to just helping you power out that one, right? Like a Ruby Medallion's great when you want to play like 5 burn spells in one turn as opposed to one great big creature.
Yeah, that's exactly the other reason that I wanted, because you do want to chain your copy spells together. Like if you've got the one that's got buyback, you can continue to play it for 1 less mana each time.
Not irrelevant.
Yeah, next up we've got Murmuring Mystic I can never say it. Talrand Sky Summoner and Young Pyromancer. All 3 give you a token when you cast an instant or sorcery. Those are there to give me blockers and to do something with the artifacts when we get to the artifact section.
CCONation tip, if you would like to be the one that alters the Murmuring Mystic, I'm sure if you were to just draw a bunch of Canada geese on there instead of those little illusion birds, that'd be a good one.
That is not a terrible idea. I would think that it would need to make like 15/15 tokens with Menace and Death Touch if they were geese.
Well, this is what we got. And hell, man, we're doing whatever we want. We could just cross out all the shit that card says and just write all that on there.
Yeah, that's it.
Do whatever we want. We got a Wave Break Hippocamp.
Oh, yeah. This is a new one from Theros Beyond Death. 2/2 Horsefish, okay, for blue 2. Whenever, and it's an enchantment creature. I don't know if that's relevant, but probably is. Whenever you cast your first spell during each opponent's turn, draw a card. So that's like slow draw, but there are times because Kalamax cares about the first instant you cast every turn. That's the one that it's going to copy. You want to cast like 1 instant on player 2, 1 instant on player 3, 1 instant on player 4's turns, and that'll draw us 3 extra cards with Wavebreak Hippocamp every round of the table.
And gets you 3 extra spells to play also, because they're copied by your dude.
Yeah, it feeds into itself too, right?
Yeah, it's all working together. That's what's that word? Synergy.
Yeah.
Synergy.
Yeah, again, only cares about casting, so you're not going to draw 2 when you copy. You're just going to draw the one that you cast.
Weak.
Oh, another goblin, Wart the Raid Mother, almost got cut.
I think, I have a suggestion that you can just cut her for. We'll get to that near the end of the show. But she's I'm not looking at it right now. It's the Grull 4, and she's like a 3/3 or a 4/4. She comes into play with 2 red and green goblin creature tokens, and all of your instants and sorceries have Conspire.
Which is you can tap a creature that shares the same color as the spell, right?
2 creatures. You can tap 2 creatures that share color, and you can copy the spell, or you copy it again, and it's cool.
Yeah, it's another thing that gives you bodies to help with the artifact selection for the deck, and it also does the copy thing.
So it does what you want to do. You're not running a ton of creatures in here, is my thought.
Yeah.
So if you don't have a ton of creatures, you might run into a situation where you can't copy your spell. And I know most of them are red, but like most of your creatures are red. So like, what if you play something that's green? Now you can't Conspire it.
Yeah. Or if I play like Narset's Reversal and I don't have any blue creatures to copy. Yeah, like to tap, right?
It could be clunky. Like it's not bad, but certainly any stretch. But it could be clunky.
And you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, like if it does clunk, it's a 6 mana clunk versus like a Wild Ricochet or Fork proper, because I'm not playing Fork. There's Wild Ricochet is a 4 mana copy and redirect spell that I could be playing instead of this.
Yeah.
Save myself an extra 2 mana, because 2 mana in this deck is like the exact rate to copy a spell on, right?
It is.
Blue, or red to copy a spell.
What kind of spells are we going to be copying, Ryan?
Well, should we do the one sorcery? Because it kind of leads into how some of the instants work.
Okay, I'm just going to say, let me get my Sarcasmo voice on, okay?
Sure.
Oh, I'm so surprised that Ryan's playing Chandra's Ignition in a deck.
It's one of my favorite cards. It's one of my favorite cards. People will know that if you don't know, it's a red 3 sorcery. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to other creatures and each opponent.
So you make her do an infinite big Chandra's Ignition it win the game.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be big. And you know what? That's one of the reasons I wanted to eliminate the infinite big Kalamax, because you could just tutor for Chandra's Ignition in blue or red or green, and you just cast it and win. And that's a little bit too linear, a little bit too cheap, a little bit too combo-tastic. I want this to be like a Wrath of God if it's early game, or I want it to be the big splashy spell late game, but not at an infinite level.
Sure, that's fair.
Yeah, and it is a sorcery, so Kalamax can't copy it. I need something else to copy it.
Like any of the instants that copy spells?
Yes.
Most of which you're playing?
Also, yes. to that note, there are 11 of them.
Jesus.
And that's counting Wart the Raid Mother as a copy enabler.
Yeah, I guess we can just see if we can find them. There's Increasing Vengeance. There's Reiterate. There's Repeated Reverberation. There's Reverberate. There is Twin Cast. What's the other one? That's all of them that are here, in the instant section at least.
There's also Expansion Explosion, the expansion split card side.
The what?
Is a copy spell. You must have missed that one because you can't read sideways.
Is that in here? Is there a... All I see is a little black rectangle in between Electro Dominance and Fist of Flame.
Yeah, it's in there. I'm sorry.
I didn't think that was a thing that we would do here.
Did you say Increasing Vengeance?
I did.
Increasing Vengeance has flashback, and if you flash it back, it copies a spell twice, which is important. I guess I could add a number to that 11 count or whatever I said, because it copies it one more time if I'm flashing it back, right?
Yeah.
Reiterate is another way to go infinite, but you need infinite mana. But I think I cut all the infinite mana outlets out of here.
Good.
So, yeah. And there is one in the artifact section. It's actually a new one. It came in the Kalamax deck. It's called Twinning Staff, which is a 3-drop artifact. If you would copy a spell one or more times, instead, copy it that many times plus an additional time. So it's like copy Harmonicon.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, if you pay 7 and tap it, you can copy something that we control. Instant or sorcery we control.
I dig that. I like that. That's a cool card.
Yeah, it's good. Let's do the rest of the instants here, because we hit a bunch of them, just bang bangs, but there's a few other ones for utility and card draw and mana ramp and stuff.
I super like Artifact Mutation.
Yes, and that does help with Wart the Raid Mother, because it's going to give us green creatures when we destroy an artifact, and then we get green saplings equal to that thing's converted mana cost. And if we double that one, we get 2 artifacts and 2 times the saplings.
Ooh. Chaos Warp?
Chaos Warp. This was one that I thought I was going to cut until I started to theorize with the national lights on the channel for this deck build. Of course...
But how insanely good that card is?
Yeah, well, instant for red 2, the owner of target permanent shuffles it into their library, then reveals the top card of their library. If it's a permanent card, they can put it onto the battlefield. And the way that copy spells work is the copy will resolve before the original spell. So if I'm trying to get a blocker out of the way, I've tapped Kalamax to attack, right? I cast Chaos Warp and copy it because Kalamax is tapped to get rid of a blocker. If you flip over with the copy another creature that you can block with, I can cast a Reverberate and copy the original, targeting your new blocker again, and your new blocker will get shuffled back in and you reveal again. And I can copy the original if you get another blocker, and I can copy if you get another blocker, as long as I have copy spells in my hand.
Neat.
Yeah, so as long as you're copying the original, I can get rid of multiple blockers in a row if I have to.
Well, you could copy the copy too.
I don't think you can copy copies because it's not a spell. It's a copy, right?
Ah, so it's not on. Well, it must be because it's on the stack.
I'm just gonna stick to copying the original,
Okay.
just because I know that works.
All right, we got some. I'm gonna call it boring ass shit in Chemister's Insight and Impulse and
Dig Through Time.
And there was one other, Thrill of Possibility. Those are all instants that draw you 2 cards.
Yeah, Jumpstart you can cast from your graveyard by discarding a card. So if I got a land card late game, I can get that back from my graveyard. So that one's kind of cool.
That's worse Spell Shaper, right? Like remember in Mercadian Masks they had all those different Spell Shapers and stuff, and you could pay a cost and discard a card to get an effect. Like you could play 1 black, discard a card to basically get a Dark Ritual.
Oh yeah.
Right? Jumpstart's kind of like shitty that, where you have to exchange a card in your hand for a card in your graveyard, but then you lose the card out of your graveyard.
Yeah, it's situational because, like, this is an instant where all the Spell Shapers are creatures, and I want instants, right?
Would this be better as a Think Twice?
Somebody did suggest Think Twice because it draws you 2 cards and you can flash it back.
Yeah.
Yeah, both would be good. I'm not playing a Think Twice, but if I didn't like this at 4, I think Think Twice costs 3 mana.
Yeah, I think it's 3 and then 2. I think.
Something like that. Yeah, Think Twice is very comparable here.
All right, what else we got? We got a Crop Rotation.
Yep, as an additional cost to sack a land, and then we get to search for any land card to put onto the battlefield. Newsflash, lots of basics here, no Gaia's Cradle. So this is only good if we copy it because additional costs aren't copied. That's part of the cost of the spell. So if I copy this, I just get 2 lands and turn it into
Harrow.
Harrow essentially, which I'm also playing because it's an instant. The other mana ramp card is
Growth Spiral.
That's an instant too. Draw a card and you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. If you copy it, you draw 2, you can play 2 additional lands. But the other one is...
It's not you can play an additional land with Growth Spiral. It's you can put a land from your hand into play. So if you play it on somebody else's turn, you still get that land.
Oh, yeah. That's actually really good. That's good.
Growth Spiral is a really cool card. It's played lots, so it's not underutilized, but I think it's still underappreciated. It's got Seb McKinnon art on it, but it's okay Seb McKinnon art, and it's a cool card.
Yeah, I like that one. The other one that I was looking for is Natural Connection. It's an instant for green 2, search your library for a basic, put it onto the battlefield, tapped, then shuffle. So that one is probably the worst one. So other random card draw, we got Fist of Flame, that's draw a card until end of turn, target creature gains trample and +1 for each card you've drawn this turn. If I copy that, the first one will give me a +2, and the second one will give me a +3 if I drew no other cards. So that's an automatic +5/+0 on Kalamax and draw 2 cards. There's Frantic Search. If you can copy that, you can, in response to all of the copies resolving, you can tap your lands to float mana. So you draw 2, discard 2, untap up to 3 lands. So you can tap your lands in response to that resolving, so they untap again. There's a Lightning Bolt, because I just want to dome somebody for like
6
fucking 21, copying it 7 times. That's a little bit of a pipe dream, but it is also the kind of the crown jewel of the deck because I have an altered one by the original artist.
That's cool.
Yeah, that happens to be from Beta.
Ooh.
Yeah, that is a very cool card.
You're playing a Mystical Tutor, finds an instant or sorcery, puts it on top.
Yep.
Got a Narset's Reversal. We talked about that one already.
Yep, that's a copy one, but it returns the original to its hand.
So it kind of counters the spell, and then you get it.
Yes, or it kind of buys my card back and gives me a copy to trigger Kalamax, and then I can maybe cast the copy or cast the original again. So it's got lots of different little subtle uses. There's Opt, we can copy that, scry 2.
Because you're a scrub, you're playing Opt. There's a price of progress?
You talk about scrub. Baby. Price of Progress deals damage to each player equal to twice the number of non-basic lands that player controls. That's an instant for red 1.
What about that says scrub on it, Ryan?
When we copy this, somebody's going to be taking 20. If we copy this, somebody could be taking 40.
Yeah, greedy-ass commander mana bases? You're going to wreck somebody's butthole.
Yo, baby, yes. We're getting into the ones now. If we double these, people will just die. Psychotic Fury. Read this one. I think that you might like this one.
Target multicolored creature gains double strike until end of turn, draw a card. Doubling that doesn't do anything except draw us an additional card.
That's okay, but it still says the word double on it. Repeated Reverberation. I know that we talked about this a couple times, but I know that this is a card that's been used against you and I in a game by F.U. Smitty. When you cast the next instant or sorcery spell or activate a loyalty ability of the Planeswalker this turn, copy it fucking twice.
It's crazy.
Oh, dude. I copied in testing this deck. I copied this, and then I cast a Frantic Search. So I had like 6 Frantic Searches.
Dang.
It was unreal. It was unreal. I drew 8, discarded 8, and untapped whatever it was, 18 lands, all in response. So I floated a bunch of mana, and then I cast an Explosion, which deals X damage to whatever the fuck I want.
What do you do with Rush of Blood?
Rush of Blood. Target creature gets +X+0 until end of turn, where X is its power. So we can double Kalamax, and then we can double it again if we copy it. And what's interesting is we cast Rush of Blood, and Kalamax will copy it. And because Kalamax copied it, that ability will resolve first, so it'll become a 5/5. And then we'll double its power to a 10/10. Then we'll double its power with the original to a 20/20. So Rush of Blood, just by itself, will deal 20 commander damage if we've got an opening.
Neat.
Savage Beating kind of works the same way. Extra combat step and double strike if we have the mana to entwine it.
Now, if you copy this, do we get the choice on the copy, or does it copy the same mode?
It copies the same mode.
It's like an X spell, where if you have X equals 10 and you copy it, X will still equal 10. Savage Beating is on the stack saying additional combat phase, so the copy will also say additional combat phase.
That's right. If we entwine it, we get both, and then we would copy both. Snap, that'll get a blocker out of the way and untap 2 of our lands, or 2 blockers and 4 lands. Solidarity of Heroes works sort of like Rush of Blood does, and sort of like Berserk, if we were going to play Berserk, where we double a thing's power and then double it again if we copy it, plus the +1 counter from the original casting. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I saw lots of people say cut Solidarity of Heroes because it's no good, but really choose any number of target creatures, double the number of +1 counters on them.
So Kalamax, because Strive makes the spell cost more. Even though it's worded stupid, you'd probably only pick 1 creature, right?
Oh, yeah, that's right. We tap with Kalamax to attack, and then we cast Solidarity of Heroes because it's an instant before damage. Kalamax has put a +1 counter on him, will trigger, and then we'll double it, and then the copy will double it. So he'll come out the other end like a 16 or a 20, or like it's insane.
Yeah. It's outrageous.
Soul's Fire, that is going to deal damage equal to target creature's power, and then we can copy it, so somebody could take 40 if we could go Rush of Blood, it gets doubled, we kill somebody, and then we Soul's Fire, we can deal 40 to somebody else if we can double that as well. So while it doesn't go infinite, it still has huge top end as long as we have the cards and mana, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Teamer Battle Rage, that's another double strike and trampler, and Uncaged Fury is another double strike and +1er. So that's the instant suite.
It's all right.
It's totally medium.
Yeah, it's fine.
Now, this is what I wanted your opinion on in the deck. The mana base, 37 lands, got Command Tower, Evolving Wilds, Terramorphic Expanse. All of the rest are basics.
Sure.
And that is to accommodate the price of progress. but I'm wondering in the enchantment and artifact suite if I can find reasons to cut any of those for Blood Moons, Ruinations, and Back to Basics.
Yeah. I mean, why aren't you playing those?
I want the deck to be fun, both for myself and for other people. I want it to be budget if anybody else wants to build it. And I also wanted it to be fucking kind of have a vehicle sub-theme. So I'm playing like 11 or 12 vehicles.
Well, you'd be fine to play those. Like, Blood Moon is an inevitability in Magic. I've talked lots about that. Like, you could put a Blood Moon in here. Back to Basics is maybe a little bit more douchey because it like doesn't untap their lands and stuff. And Ruination is fine. I play Ruination and Blood Moon in virtually every red deck I build.
You do have a convincing argument.
Like, years ago when Commander started, I think that I would have more of a hard opinion against playing it because it is like it's not really that casual. It's not super fun. But I think we're at a point now in Magic where even if people don't mean to have their decks do super fast, super degenerate stuff right away, it just happens because decks are getting faster, they're getting lower to the ground, they're getting more tuned, they're getting more everything. So you need cards in your meta and in your deck to deal with decks that are going to go 1,000 miles an hour, even if the guy that built them doesn't mean them to.
Yeah, even if the person doesn't mean them to. Like, I didn't mean to make Kalamax go infinite with Ral Storm Conduit. Somebody in the Discord pointed out that it did, so I was like, oh yeah, shoot, I better cut that. Right? Yeah,
like, there are certain things that just, it'll happen. Like, the whoops, I win, it happens all the time.
Yeah.
Where you don't see something or it's just an interaction on the table. And they just happen, and they happen more often as more cards get printed and stronger cards get printed and stuff. So I think that cards like Blood Moon and Back to Basics, to maybe a lesser extent, really do have a place in lots of decks. And if you're willing to set yourself back a little bit by playing a sub-optimized mana base, then I think that it more than makes up for, like, Buddy going, oh, you Blood Mooned me, now all I can do is tap for red. It's like, well, fuck, man. All I've drawn are mountains and one island. I can't even play Kalamax. Right?
Yeah, for sure. You know what? I was worried about putting down a Blood Moon or back to Basics and shutting off my opponent's fun when what you just said about decks being more tuned, more efficient, lower to the ground, what I'm doing is shutting off my opponent's fun right now. So by the point in the game that they can start to have fun again, they draw their removal spell or they draw their basics, is the point in the game that is later on when this deck can start to have fun. Instead of at turns 2, 3, 4, when like a tune deck is really going to start to go off, this deck might not go off until turn 7 or 8. And if I can buy myself those, 3 or 4 turns, maybe it is justifiable to have Blood Moon and Back to Basics. So I'm limiting what they're doing until the point that I can kind of match power level.
Yeah, man. I mean, and you could play some more fixing in here too. Like, if you're going to put Back to Basics and Blood Moon, even if they're in the conversation, you should also probably put in a Chromatic Lantern. And if you don't want to pay money for any of these cards, you could still put in like a Field of Ruin, or I feel dirty saying this, but like those the slow fetches that come into play tapped.
Yeah,
you could play those. They cost like $1. I was sure there was another.
There's panoramas too, right? From shards.
Yeah, there's Warped Landscape, I think, is another one. There's an old one from the swirly thing. Terminal Moraine, that's the one. I've been trying to remember that all day. Terminal Moraine is another one you could play. It taps for a colorless, or you can sack it to get a basic. Like,
yeah,
there's lots of fixing you can play in your land section for super cheap. Like, you can get around.
And you know
all that
what it is too is like the budget doesn't really concern me because I do own all of those cards. One of the things I was running into was if somebody sees this deck and likes the community project and hears the episode and thinks, oh fuck, that sounds like an awesome deck, I'm gonna build it, right? And they see that the deck's like $800 because I included original fetch lands in there, because let's face it, they're the best options for what we're talking about right now.
Yeah.
Or a prismatic vista, and what's the other one? Hidden passage something?
Fabled passage,
right? If I just add those, all of a sudden I'm adding, $100, $200 to the deck. So I wanted to stay away from that without the added rider or context of listening to the show or reading the article I write about the deck or following me on Twitter, right? If you just find the deck and want to build it, you can build it for less than $100, right?
Yeah. I mean, most people could probably still build this sans the land, like if you were to do that, because you can build it with the mana base that you have and it's still good.
Yeah, but it's not though, right? It's not unless I'm adding the Blood Moon and the Back to Basics. Right? And I know 2 cards aren't going to make the difference, just like 2 fetches aren't going to make the difference. But when you open the deck and you see Blood Moon Back to Basics, you get a certain idea of what the deck's going to do. Or you see fetch lands and you just automatically assume you might not be able to afford it, right? So I don't want there to be any preconceived kind of prejudice against the deck, whether I leave it the way it is and have it be slow and janky and like a 1 out of 10 in power level.
Well, it's certainly not a 1 out of 10. Like having having a below average mana base doesn't make it a 1 out of 10. You have an instant in here that costs 10 cents that does fucking 20 to somebody on turn
turn 5.
Yeah, the deck isn't bad, man.
I guess we'll talk about that in the strength section. You know what? Let's get through this suite of not equipments, vehicles.
Okay.
And you know what? I just wanted to make an equipment deck so bad, and I figured dinosaurs riding around on trains and chariots would just make the funny little Sharpie altars. That's what I wanted more than anything else. So that whole last 5 minutes aside, this is what I want. This embodies EDH more than anything else that I've done in the last couple years.
Like wanting to play the Aradara Express?
Yeah. Crew 4. Menace, so it can only be blocked by 2 or more creatures. 8/6 vehicle for 5 mana. Yeah. Kalamax can crew it right away.
We got an Arcane Signet, which we all know what that is. We got a Bomat Bazaar Barge.
Bomat Triple B. This is BBO Podcast.
BBBO.
BBBO. Yeah. So it's a 5/5 crew 3 for 4. Enters the battlefield, draw a card.
Cultivator's Caravan.
That's actually a good vehicle.
That's a good one.
Yeah, crew 3 mana, taps for any color, but if you crew 3 it, 5/5.
Now, Ryan,
yes.
I'm just throwing it out here, okay? Now, that's a chromatic mana dork for 3, and it dies to some creature removal, so I think you should play Manolith instead. Just throwing that in there.
Sure thing. I'll tell Dana Roach he just rolled over in his whatever he's in.
In the Cheetos that he lays in all the time?
I don't know why he's doing that, but sure.
At me, Dana Roach. We got Demolition Stomper.
Oh, yeah. So this is a 10/7 for 6. Can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less, so no chumps allowed. Crew 5. For this, I didn't imagine Kalamax crewing this. I just imagined birds and elementals and drakes all just piling on, and just takes 100 guys to drive this stupid fucking thing.
We've got a Mizium Tank.
A 3/2 trampler. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, gets trample and +1/+1. Sorry, it has trample all the time. It gets +1/+1 whenever you cast an instant or sorcery or artifact, so it gets big. And it's red 1 to cast.
We got a Mobile Garrison.
When it attacks, untap another creature or artifact we control. So this might make mana for us. It's a 3/4 for 3, crew 2.
Renegade Freighter.
4/3 for 3, crew 2. Whenever Renegade Freighter attacks, it gets +1 and gains trample. So you notice trample or menace. There's another one that has flying. Lots of these are hard to block, and Kalamax can crew all of them if he can't get through, except for the Renegade Stomper.
Demolition Stomper. What else we got? We got a Silent Submarine. I like this card.
Yeah, this one is like the worst one because everybody can block it and it has to deal damage to somebody to draw a card, and it's crew 2 and it's blue, which is I'd rather just cast Narset's Reversal for blue. And
look at that art though. Look at it. It looks like the fish submarine from Mega Man X2 and Bubble Crab's level. It's awesome.
Yeah, and it definitely looks like it has Island Walk or some form of evasion. Yeah, nope.
Doesn't. It's a shallow water submarine. We've got Sky Sovereign Console Flagship.
Yeah, 6/5 Crew 3 Flyer, enters the battlefield or attacks, deals 3 damage to target creature or planeswalker. It costs 5 mana.
Ooh, Sleek Schooner.
A 4/3 Crew 1 for 3. So we could crew this with any token our deck makes.
We got a Smuggler's Copter. Because of course we do.
Of course, it's the best one, right?
Yeah.
It flies. You can crew it with anything. It's a 3/3 for 2, and when it deals damage, when it attacks or blocks, draw a card, then discard a card.
It's good.
Yes.
Ruined a whole format all by itself.
Oh, 100%.
Everybody knows Sol Ring. Most people should know Springleaf Drum and Swiftfoot Boots.
Well, Springleaf Drum, just real quick, it taps an untapped creature you control to add a mana. So it fixes us. It's kind of a mana rock, but it also taps Kalamax. So it's kind of a weak card, but it's fine.
It turns Kalamax into a mana dork. And it gets him tapped where you want him to be, yeah. Thundering Chariot.
Yeah, first strike, trample, haste, 3/3 Crew 1 for 4. I want Kalamax to ride in this.
What about the the Dragster? It's like a 6/1 trample haste Crew 1. It doesn't have first strike, but it's a 6/1.
Yeah, I thought, 6/1, you're only ever going to get 1 attack out of that because somebody will chump it and take 4 just to kill it.
And it's a Dragster.
I did have it in the original, but I think it was F.U. Lenny that told me to cut it.
F.U. Lenny. You gotta stop listening to that guy. He doesn't have your best interest at heart, Ryan. I have your best interest at heart, and I think you should play the Dragster.
We forgot to do our good vibe moment. Mine was going to be meeting the CCO dude bros on video chat.
Yeah, mine too. Mine was also going to be my 3rd week undefeated at Magic the Gathering cards.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah, I'm riding high on this until I lose a game.
It should be noted that we didn't actually play.
That we were too busy having fun and visiting and being friends, and that's awesome.
Yeah. So it was you and Kyla. There was me, Rebecca, the boy. Valor made an appearance on Cam. Ginger Joe, Cam Girl Chris. That's Chris Von Doom, new nickname. Lenny and Steven, I don't know if I said them already, but they were all there, and it was just the funnest time. My internet is not being as shitty as it was, so it's okay now. So I'm going to try and jump into chats or games or streams or trash talk somewhere. So that's my good vibe moment.
Dope. I'm with you. It's kind of the same thing for me, I suppose. Last card on the deck is the Untethered Express.
Oh, yeah, you don't need tracks. Marty, where we're going, we don't need tracks. And this train looks like a dinosaur. It's a 4/4 for 4 with trample, which is important. Crew 1, also important. Whenever Untethered Express attacks, put a +1 counter on it. So it's going to get big.
That card's insane. I like that card a lot. I won lots of drafts with that.
Oh, yeah?
Yep. Yeah, that was when I was still drafting at one of the stores in town, and I would just draft all of the Untethered Expresses, and what was the other one? I forget what the other card. Oh, no, it wasn't Untethered Express. I'm sorry. It was Renegade Freighter I drafted lots of.
Yeah.
Basically the same. But yeah, you just wreck house with those cards. They're surprisingly good.
So keep them in the deck is what you're saying.
Oh, yeah, keep those. Those are cool.
Oh, yeah, dinosaurs riding on stuff.
Hell yeah, dude.
Okay, last 2 cards. Jace's Sanctum makes instants and sorceries cost less. It's another kind of mana production card, and whenever I cast an instant or sorcery, scry 1, that's good. Wilderness Wreck, at the beginning of my end step, I untap all my lands. So I can drop all my vehicles, and at end of turn, untap all my lands to have my instants up, as the saying goes.
Yeah, it's good. It's a cool deck.
So
it's good stuff. I'm glad that everybody got in on this and built something that was neat.
Yeah, and you know what? The build process is ongoing. As I test it more, I'm going to update the channel on the Discord with what I cut, and then people can maybe suggest stuff. Like Fling keeps coming up lots, right? Because you can double and double and double, and all of a sudden Cal's got like 40 power. So Fling seems like an important card, right? You can double Fling and kill 2 people.
I get it. If you double, well, yeah, I guess because the cost is the creature that you sack. Yeah, that would work. Yeah.
Yep.
So you should be careful. You should be careful in the I don't want to go infinite, but what I do want to do is make him a 40 and then kill everybody at once. That's basically going infinite.
I hear what you're saying there. Yeah, I want something deterministic that feels infinite.
Yeah, like you're doing the same thing, just instead of playing infinite, air quote, something, you're just playing 2 somethings.
Yeah. I'm glad that you mentioned that, actually, because there's always that moment where it's like, well, it's not infinite, guys. There's no rules against almost infinite, right?
Yeah, but I mean, it's the same thing, right? It's the not the syntax. What's the word I'm looking for?
The context.
The context. It's the same thing.
Yeah, I get you.
Right? So you got to watch that.
Yeah.
It's like being like, I'm just going to triple this power and fling him at all three of you guys. I win. You might as well say, well, I'm going to dual caster and triple cast this and then copy forever and have infinite mana. You might as well just do that because it's the same thing.
You know what? I think at the point in the game that I'm able to do that is when I already have 10 mana or everybody's got 10 mana and you've been milking that counterspell all game and somebody just either has it or somebody else just has it. And that's the saying, right? Game's got to end, right?
It's turn 5, isn't it?
Yeah, well, technically, but the deck is so mana hungry and those vehicles, they do take up, card draw slots, interaction slots, and copy spell slots. So that's the other reason that I wanted those in there is because they do give it that casual kind of slowdown.
Sure.
So let's look at some strengths and weaknesses because these things that we're talking about are both kind of strengths and weaknesses. So weaknesses I want to start with. Vehicles aren't very good, especially with my low creature count, right?
You have access always to one that can get your vehicles going, but yeah, at the end of the day, the vehicles might just end up sitting there, and you have no other way of using them for anything.
That's right.
Like you could have what's that card I like so much? Inspiring Statuary or something.
Yeah, well, you know what, too, is like if I did find a place for fling and I could animate like my 10-7 or whatever, like my Eridera Express, I could at least fling a vehicle for 8 damage, right?
Yeah.
But the other weakness when you say I always have a vehicle that can power a creature that can power my vehicles, the mana is so bad right now because I've got so many basics, it's sometimes hard to find green, which I've just got to do a little bit of tinkering with that, that's all.
Well, I can speak from experience. On this one, my Shattergang Brothers is mostly basics, and I very rarely actually run into those kind of issues. And I play a lot of stupid mana. Like I play an Omnath Locus of Rage in there. I've got stuff that costs triple red, triple green, and I don't usually run into issues playing my stuff just because you play them in the pods that are of that level, right? Like. Nobody's powering out perfect mana in the game where you're going to play this. So having a shitty mana base isn't always such a big weakness because you're going to play the deck where the deck is meant to be played, not at a CEDH table.
Yeah, you know what? I think if we distilled that whole statement down to its barest form, I think the message there is communicate deck intent and deck power and experience that you want, right?
Yeah.
Of course, always number one, right?
Yeah, it's easy. You just gotta talk to each other. We beat on that all the time though. Like everybody knows that shit, but sometimes people forget. Just talk to each other.
This weakness plays right into it as well. People will assume they know what you're playing, right? Oh, it's just Kalamax, infinite copy, deal damage, fling. Yeah.
Well, it is. It just has vehicles in it. Like when people assume that about this deck, they're right, but it isn't as tuned as it could be because it's playing a bunch of shitty vehicles and stuff.
That's right, because it's a theme deck and it's one that I want to do. This is like my special thing that I've been thinking about for a while, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think if we want to move over to strengths, it's my special thing. It embodies EDH to me. It is a passion project of mine with the altars and the community and the show. And it's like passion or any emotion in general is contagious, right? And if I have this thing that all my friends have helped me with and I want to show it off and have fun with it, that means the people around me are going to have fun. And you know what? Because this deck isn't very good, and I sit down in a pod and people are like, oh, I don't know, we're playing good decks. Well, if I still want to play with my deck, I'm still going to play. I just have a better idea of the experience that I'm going to receive in return from these people playing the Toon deck, but I'm still going to have fun, right? Like, it's still going to be fun because I'm doing the fun thing that I want to do with my fun deck.
There you go.
And I think that it's important that I mention that winning isn't everything. It's the experience and it's the fun and it's the reason that the format even fucking exists.
I think people forget that lots.
Oh yeah, especially now that that CEDH is so popular and there's so much content, right? And that format is about winning and doing the most powerful thing. That format is still about fun. I'm not saying that, but just jamming jank stacks of 100 cards is also fun. And if you build something that you are passionate about, it'll be fun regardless of what experience is reciprocated back to you.
Yeah.
Other strengths. Wins out of nowhere. Like, see you later. Go get a drink. Other strengths. My favorite colors. Other strengths. Very tunable. If I wanted more removal, if I wanted to combo, if I wanted to control all these cards that we've mentioned, if I slotted them in instead of the vehicle's sub-theme, all of a sudden I've got a combo deck. Or all of a sudden I have a control deck, you know, with the Back to Basics and the Blood Moons and the Ruinations, right?
See, here's a weakness on the back of that strength. I've been waiting for this, because I know you very well. I've been playing Magic with you a long time. I've been playing EDH with you as long as you've been playing EDH. We know each other very well. And this deck is awesome, and it's going to be great, but it does have the potential to suddenly go from Orixmithy's Make a Big Dude into Infinite Turn Spymaster of Trest.
What do you mean?
Because there's so many easy cuts, and as stuff comes out, you're like, oh, I want to play that in Kalamax. Fuck yeah. And you'll just chop a vehicle, and all of a sudden, now it is Kalamax infinite copies. And
yes,
and you
100%.
don't even realize it until somebody says. And I've done that too, where it's like all of a sudden, oh my fuck, this is a stacks deck. Yep. Shit, and I have to take it apart and start again, because without even, like, I'm playing all the stuff. Oh, this is fun. This is cool. I like this. Yeah. And then you get to the end, you're like, oh, god damn it, son of a bitch. And you don't even mean for it to happen, but it does.
Yeah, I hear that for sure. And you know what?
So I'm watching you, Ryan. I got a fucking eyeball.
You know
on
what?
you.
Anybody who has an extensive altar collection, and you know what, to a lesser extent, but the same feeling, your Norrin deck. How hard is it to cut something from Norrin when you know that it's like, I went out and paid $40 for this foil.
Yeah.
It took me fucking 4 years to find a Dark Visions misprinted Griffin Canyon. I'm not cutting it, right?
Yeah.
When I didn't find one, by the way. When people alter cards, and I have a memory now attached to a card in the deck, regardless of how janky it is, it makes it harder to cut. That's why my Animar altered art deck isn't 100% fully optimized 11 out of 10 power, because there's cards in there that I've got altered. That's a time investment and a memory for me to keep in the deck, right? So part of the passion project, getting the community involved in altering and signing and fucking my cards up, drawing dinks on them, is going to be keeping those jank pieces of trash in there.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And speaking of jank pieces of trash, this deck can be yours for the low budget of like $120. And if you cut that command tower, man, it's like $117.
Yeah, there's virtually nothing in here that breaks the bank, and I freaking love that.
I think that's huge. It goes back to, you don't need money to play the game and to be passionate and to have decks that you want to play, right?
Or to win.
Oh, yeah, because you can 40 people, and I love 40 people. I love when people go from 40 to 0 exactly. That's just like, it's my floating Zen fucking galaxy brain moment.
I think my favorite thing might sort of be the same thing. Is when everybody goes from 40 to 1. Or when somebody goes from like 200 to like fucking 6.
6 with no permanence.
Yeah, like they've used everything to stop me from doing whatever I'm trying to do, which is kill them, and they end up with nothing but 6 life. And I'm sitting there with all the shit that I had that I used to kill them, and they know it's coming. They know it. And then they don't draw the rift. And then they have to pass back to me. And then I go, yeah.
Yeah.
See, I'm rock hard telling that story. I just want that to happen now.
Well, listen, let's finish up. We've done some strengths and weaknesses. I think that we both like the deck. I'm going to love anything that any of the CCO Dude Bros can think of creatively to alter and contribute to the deck. It's going to be great. I can't wait to bring it to fests and get people to sign shit. And I'm bringing all the colored Sharpies, right? But let's do some stats.
Hang on. Before that, because I haven't contributed a card to this yet. I haven't. And I get to, because I have to put up with you. So what I think you should put in here, brand new card, on budget, from Ikoria, Parcel Beast.
Parcel Beast. Explain.
He is a 2/4 for green-blue 2. Has mutate green-blue, so you can put it underneath your Kalamax, and it gives the creature 1 tap. Look at the top card of your library. If it's a land, you can put it into play. If it's not a land, or if you don't want to put it into play, you put it into your hand. So
it's in.
It taps Kalamax, it ramps you, and it draws you cards. And it's on budget, and it's inexpensive to play.
Okay, sweet. Well, I'm picking up next weekend. Other good vibe next weekend. Ikoria in 2020 is coming out.
Oh, hell, it's going to be so good. Oh, my God, I'm excited.
What happens if I mutate onto a vehicle, then it stops being a creature?
Oh, shit. See,
Yeah.
hashtag Commander problems, hey?
Yeah, somebody at me, at CCO Podcast, at CCO Brando. Let us know.
In no other avenue in the universe will anybody ever ask that.
Welcome to CCONation.
Yeah. What if my Demolition Stomper gets mutated? Go home.
Get out of here.
Yeah,
You're
just-
drunk,
you
CCO. Get out of here.
Cover up those FUs on your sleeves. Get out.
That's it. Oh, man. Okay, listen, we got to do stats so you don't have a whole year of editing.
Okay, let's do it.
Popularity on EDHREC.com. 7th most popular team or commander already.
Right above right below Yasova Dragonclaw, right above, I'm not even going to try and say it, the Writhing Storm. It is already the most popular of the new cards that are coming out, and it's even more popular than Intet the Dreamer.
Oh, wow. Who'd have thunk?
And every partner pairing as well, but we all knew that.
What that means is 341 lists, average CMC of this deck 2.97, and that'll go down when I cut the Wart the Raid Mother and put in the Parcel Beast.
Yeah.
Critical turn, I'm going to say 5 because as long as we have some form of mana accelerant ahead of Kalamax on 3 or 4, turn 5 is going to 40 somebody.
Yeah, you'll be able to kill somebody with some good draws, or even some mediocre draws.
Which is not essentially what it's about, but that is the God scenario, right?
Yeah, that's what we look at when we look at the critical turn.
1 tutor, which is fine.
We allow for that.
Now, I lose a lot of points because the Kalamax build right now is very focused on playing all the spell doublers, which I'm playing, like I said, 10 or 11 of them or whatever. So I lose about 10 spice points on that.
Oh, dude.
You punch it all in. Uniqueness rating, that's cards different than the stock Kalamax page on EDHREC.com. I've got 29 cards that are different, and those are mostly my choice of card draw spells and my vehicles.
Sure.
So we punch it all in, I get a 46.5.
That's close.
Yeah, you know what? If I focused a little bit more on power doubling and combat tricks like Berserk or something and cut the copy spells, I'd probably go up to a 56 or a 58. Which is, it passes the 50 test, which is important.
You could turn it from a Ryan deck into a Naya deck, and then inevitably turn it into that degenerate thing that we were talking about earlier. Because you're not as attached to it anymore, right? Like it's...
Yeah. You know what else I think, too, is a lot of members in CCONation are still learning how to build the spice. So when they suggest a lot of cards that I include, my deck is obviously going to be less spicy because they aren't the president of CCONation.
Nice.
So I blame the people, and this is a commune. This is communist Kalamax, so I get to fucking choose. Is that how it works?
Hey, man.
Or is this dictator communist or dictator Kalamax?
From what I've been led to believe about how communism works, it's that if one person fails, we all fail. So if this deck is a failure, it's on everybody except me because I suggested a really good card. And I'm washing
Parcel Beast, really good.
I'm washing my hands of every other thing that happened here today.
Well, that's good. You should be washing your hands extra lots right now.
Yeah, 2 or 3 times a day, every time I go outside. I wash it when I get where I'm going, after I leave where I'm going, and when I get home.
Oh, that's right.
My hands look like parchment paper from ancient Egypt. It is the worst.
Your hands look like Parcel Beast paper.
No shit. When I get here, we have those little microfiber cloths that we use to wipe everything down. The skin on my hands is so dry that the microfiber cloth sticks to it.
Yeah.
It's just awful.
That is so excellent.
Oh, the price we pay for safety.
That's it. Well, listen, give us a final thought of the day. Give us your thoughts on the communist dictator Kalamax Cookout deck. Thank our glorious sponsors and give everybody a once over the social media in 10 seconds or less.
All right, we got CCO Podcast, CCO Brando on Twitter, and tappedout.net, where you can see this deck list and any other deck list that we're going to come out throughout the course of the show. We're commandercookout@gmail.com. That's you can send us anything that you like, sans nudes.
Or nudes if they got like dinosaurs or trains, or I don't know where you would put a train, but maybe the same place you'd butt chug.
The T-Rex?
Yeah,
don't Google it.
Do not.
Big thanks to all of you for listening, for supporting the show and giving us a reason to keep the lights on, to FaceToFaceGames.com for keeping us on the air and keeping us going so that we can invade your ear, eye, and any other holes that you allow us to invade each and every week. This was a great deck, and I'm happy that everybody took the time to contribute to it, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what we all come up with to put in front of Ryan so that he can be embarrassed and ashamed that he ever came up with this idea of getting us to alter his cards for him, because I could only...
So do I. I'm so pumped to see what happens.
I'm very excited to see when this deck is done and we can fan it out and go, look what we all did together. Even if it's something bad or horrible, at least we did it together and we tried hard and we all had fun. And that's what this is all about at the end of the day.
That's it.
Speaking of having fun and making jank decks, we're going to do both of those things in spades on the next episode of Commander Cookout Podcast. Hit our theme song!